Have you ever wondered, with the prices of real estate going so high and wages not keeping up, how do people get started in real estate? How do they literally get their foot in the door of their first home? And this is an issue not only for traditionally high price markets like New York and California, now Denver. This is really happening across the US. So if this is something that you've been trying to figure out, whether it's for yourself or your friends, family, coworkers, then you'll really love this interview with Craig Curelop. Craig is the leader of the FI team. That's FI for Financial Independence with eXp Realty. And he's also the author of the book, House Hacking. Craig is going to tell us about the many ways that you can do house hacking and how this is a way you can overcome those obstacles and get into your first, second, third, or multiple properties. I also want to welcome you to the Climate Action Homes podcast. My name is Joan Gregerson. I am a lifelong environmental advocate. I am a solar consultant with Power, helping homeowners go solar in 20 states across the US and in Puerto Rico. And I'm also an eco-focused real estate investor. If there's anything that I can do to help you go solar or help you figure out how to make your investments more energy efficient, more sustainable, better for the environment, all in all, then I would love to be a resource. So please reach out. And with that, now let's dive into my interview with Craig Curelop. Howdy and welcome. I'm Joan Gregerson, and I'm so excited to have with me today Craig Curelop. He is with the FI team, and we're going to be talking about his book, House Hacking. The thing that I always like to focus on is how to make housing more attainable, more sustainable, and it has to work for people and planet and profits and all these things together. And a lot of people don't know even how to get started. I love this idea of house hacking. I got the book and also listened to it on Audible, and really excited to share this with you today. I just want to start by saying hi, Craig, and thanks so much for joining us.
Joan, thanks so much for having me on. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, me too. I was listening to an episode of Bigger Pockets, and if anybody out there is interested in real estate investing as a way to gain financial freedom, just interested for any reason, I highly recommend the Bigger Pockets podcast. But I thought it was interesting because somebody had sent in a question and David Green was answering them. And one was, I'm moving to a new city. What should I do? And he said, you should house hack for the first 3 years while you figure out what the heck is going on, what the neighborhoods are like. And I thought that was just such interesting advice. There's so many reasons that house hacking is such an important place to start. So before we talk about house hacking, would you just do a quick intro for yourself, Craig? And then we'll go into the house hacking concept and a little bit more about the book.
For sure. So I guess, we'll start with my name is Craig Curelop. I'm known as the house hacking guy, but I'm the FI guy on Instagram. Yeah, I guess I learned about the concept of house hacking probably back in 2016. For those that you don't know, it's when you purchase a property with a low percent down, typically 3 to 5% down. You're required to live in it for 1 year. And while you're living in it, you're renting out the rooms or renting out the different units so that way you can live rent-free and hopefully eradicate what likely is your largest expense, your rent or your mortgage. I started doing this back in 2017 when I moved to Denver, and I've done it now for 6 straight years, like 2017 through 2022. And every year I've purchased a property, and each year I got more and more comfortable on that purchase. And so my first year, I was 24, so I was a young single man, and I bought a duplex, top bottom. They were both 1 bed, 1 baths, and I rented out the top, lived in the bottom, but I wasn't quite living rent free, and that was like really my goal. And so I rented out my bedroom on Airbnb, and I slept in the living room, like behind a curtain in a cardboard box. And so super, super aggressive strategy. Of course, you don't have to start there, right? The second house hack I did was more of a rent by the room approach, where I lived in a bedroom, had my own private space, but also just shared a house with 4 other people. Third one, I had the entire unit to myself, but rented out the downstairs. And that's the way I've been doing it ever since. And house hacking is just such an amazing way to invest and get started because you have to live somewhere. You're putting a low amount down. You're seeing the house every day. So it's not like it's going to blow up on you without you knowing. And so it's just an amazing making strategy.
That was a great introduction. I want to touch on some of the things that you covered in the book. So the book is called The House Hacking Strategy. One thing that I really thought was helpful were all the different case studies. Is there a case study that is in the book or even a recent case study from somebody that you've worked with that you would like to share? Maybe not everybody does what you would do, which is making the living room into a quasi bedroom.
Yeah, no. And I don't expect anybody to be that aggressive, right? That was like me so obsessed with achieving early financial independence that like I just wanted to get there as soon as possible. But I think a more realistic scenario, and what a lot of people tend to do, probably the most common way to house hack, is you're buying a single family home that has a basement or some sort of unit. In Denver, there's tons of these with basements. And you live in the top with your spouse or whatever. You've got your own space. And you got to find a place with the layout where the layout works such that you can basically section off the top from the bottom and you can rent out the bottom on Airbnb. That's probably the most common, or as a medium term rental, or even as a long term rental. And so that way you're still making some money from your house. You may break even, you may not make as much unless you were like to have actually people living with you in the house. But that's okay. You're living rent free or extremely cheap for a year. Then you move on to the next one and you do the same thing over and over again. And that's how you're just able to accumulate a portfolio quite quickly.
One thing that a lot of people don't understand, and something that I learned as I was starting to talk with people who did this, is that idea about living there for the first year. So could you explain that a little bit more, the importance of that and why that makes a difference?
Of course, yeah. So in order to get these 3 to 5% down loans, one of the requirements the bank has is that you need to live there for a year because it's an owner occupied home. That gives them a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more comfort to give you a loan at such a high loan to value. So they're going to give you 95% of the value of the house as a loan. That's unheard of. Usually you have to put down 20%. So instead, you're just going to put down 5%. But in exchange for that, you need to live there for at least 1 year. And so that's why that's the case.
That's why the idea, the bigger strategy is do this every year. And
Exactly.
one of the first trainings I went to when I was a realtor, the lady that sat next to me said, yeah, I've been doing this house hacking and I decided I might as well get my license. And I was like, house what? And she was saying that they bought one house and one of them had an ADU, an assisted or attached. What is my first word I'm looking for?
Additional dwelling unit.
Like you think of a mother-in-law suite on the
Yeah.
property. And then the next one was a triplex. And the next one, they did something where they added a separate entrance to the basement. But it was the same thing. And she was saying, yeah, we just move every year. We don't move too far. We're still in the same neighborhood. So we're able to keep our friends, our gym, all that other stuff. But that idea of doing that yearly, because the federal government really wants to encourage home ownership. That's a big piece of why those loans are out there.
Yep, exactly right.
Do you see people actually doing that with qualifying for down payment assistance? So it could even maybe be like zero down with something
Absolutely.
like Chaffa, or there's also that Denver down payment assistance.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different, no matter where you are listening to this, but yeah, there's tons of grants and tons of programs where if it's your first home, oftentimes they will even give you either a loan, like a secondary loan for that additional down payment, or they'll just give you a grant. Sometimes if like you're below a certain income level, they'll even just give you the money for the down payment. And so there's certainly ways to do that. I think it's extremely nuanced. And so it would be probably a little bit out of the scope of this podcast. But I would just say if you're interested in the 0% down and you haven't bought a home before, talk to your lender, talk to a good real estate agent, and they should be able to lead you in the right direction for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a really cool idea as a way to just get started. We were starting to talk about a case study. So is there anybody in particular that comes to mind that would be an example that's either in the book or someone that you recently worked with that you might want to share?
The first one I can think of off the top of my head, this guy named Connor, him and his wife, Gina, they bought a place up in kind of the North Glen area, Thornton, like North Denver. And what they've been doing is they buy the single family home, like we suggested. They've been living in the downstairs. So they add a little kitchen to the downstairs. And so they live in the downstairs and they Airbnb the upstairs because that makes them a little bit more money than if they were to do the downstairs. They occupy the less desirable space in order to make more money than they would otherwise. And they've been doing that year after year. So they've been doing that now for I think this is their fourth year doing that. And so, yeah, that's just, and that's like the average. There's a million stories just like that. There's no luck involved. We've been able to help people achieve 100% plus returns because of house hacking, like time after time, hundreds and hundreds of times, because of the nature of house hacking. Like it's hard to lose when you're house hacking.
The other thing that I think is interesting, there's probably a lot of people who have purchased homes that are a little bigger than they need so that they would have space when family visits. And I think that if you did say that scenario that you just talked about with Connor and Gina, um, the cool thing is if you were Airbnb-ing out part of your house, then and you have family coming, you could just reserve that for your family and then the rest of the time have it be an income generator.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've done that many times where friends come by and I get to do them a favor and have them stay either for cheap or even for free. When you're first starting out, you probably still want to charge them a little bit just because, you are losing money for that. But as you start to gain a little bit more wealth and you want to do more people favors, it's nice because I can have my family come into town now and they can stay there. My wife's family came to town. Her parents came in and they lived in our basement for about 2 months and it was perfectly fine. They had their own kitchen. It was
Right.
amazing. And so to be able to do that is super gratifying. And that's the reason why we do what we do.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that have that extra space that haven't really been thinking about that. I'd like to talk about the bigger idea with financial independence and how house hacking fits in. I spent a very little time doing real estate, but I was surprised that even a lot of realtors who are quite busy are not necessarily thinking about financial independence. So even somebody that's making decent money can still end up being an order taker and living month to month, maybe at a different level, if you're not really thinking about financial independence. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your agency, your team, the FI team, and what your mode of operation is that might be a little bit different than more conventional brokerage or agents?
Sure. Yeah. So, the FI team, we are a team of real estate investors helping other investors. And so our big, hairy, audacious goal is to reduce the US retirement age from 65 to 55. And we do that by helping people achieve financial independence through real estate investing. So everyone on our team is a real estate investor, and we basically help our clients, we coach, guide, and mentor them through the process of not only buying the home, but also analyzing it, giving them all of the resources that we have so that they can make sure that they're picking the right tenants and they're rehabbing the house the right way. And they're basically getting the most bang for their buck. We've done probably 500 plus deals in the past couple of years, and we've got 500 deals worth of experience under our belt. And so I don't know that there's another brokerage or team out there that does kind of like the volume that we do and has that experience with them, but that's our bread and butter and what we love to do, and we love to see and work with people who are looking to better their financial future.
And how do you define financial independence? Because I think a lot of people might be getting that concept in general, but how do you define it?
I define it that you have enough passive income to cover your expenses. So whatever that is, in Denver, we tend to get about $1,000 per month or so per property, depending on what strategy you want to do. And so let's say you spend $5,000 a month, you need 5 properties, and you are financially independent. Now, you probably don't want to stop there because if anything happens, right, I'm not comfortable being right at financial independence. I'm more comfortable probably at like double financial independence, where I still want to invest more, I still want to save, and I want to keep improving my financial position over time. But again, that just is totally where your comfort zone is. And I know some people that are retired on $3,000 a month passive income, and they spend that and they're good to go.
Okay, gotcha. So thinking of financial independence as the passive income in relationship to what your expenses are.
Yeah.
Let's say that somebody wants to move from house hacking to some of the other types It seems like house hacking is a great stepping stone as a first place, but what are some of the other strategies that you advocate or that people get into after house hacking in their quest for financial independence?
Yeah, so my recommendation is always to pick up enough house hacks such that you can quit your W-2 job and comfortably live. And so for me, it was $3,000 a month when I quit my W-2 job is when I left. That's what I needed to leave. And it's not because I lived off $3,000 a month, which even though I did at the time, but I knew that my side hustle would definitely make up for any difference. And what other thing could you do? Like I'm a big proponent of becoming a real estate agent. After you've got a couple house hacks under your belt, now you can help other people do it. And that's super gratifying. You happen to get paid for it. And it's a really fun thing to do. Of course, that maybe I'm a little bit biased. If you're not into helping other people out, right? Or like you're not helping people in their house hacks and that coaching, guiding mentor, then perhaps what you do is like you start wholesaling, right? You try to find sellers who are distressed by sending out mailers and calls and all that, and then linking them up with buyers who are looking to buy the good deal, and you can take a little bit of the pie. And so those are the two main ways that I see people spending their time these days with real estate. You could flip houses, that's kind of thing too, but I feel like that's a little bit less popular than it has been previously. But yeah, I'd say like those are two things that you could absolutely do. The other thing is if you love your job and you make good money, get better at your job, make more money, and then just keep buying like once a year. You don't have to buy a house hack. You can put 20% down as a traditional rental property. You don't have to live there. That way you can either buy the home for yourself or you can start introducing those luxuries. And like I made a lot of sacrifices at first between living with people and living in the living room and all that. But now we house hack, but I didn't run the numbers on this deal. Like we bought our dream home. We live in the upstairs. We don't use the downstairs yet because we don't have kids or anything. And so we rent the downstairs out in Airbnb and that's our house hack. We're paying our mortgage, but that's okay because now we're at a different phase. We're at the comfortable phase instead of the profitable phase. This will be the last house hack we do.
And the fact, like I was reading earlier, that it really just took you about 2.5 years from when you did your first house hack to your definition of becoming financially independent at that level that you were at.
Yeah, it's funny. People say you can't get rich quick in real estate, but I don't think 2.5 years is that long of a time.
Man,
No?
yeah, people
I mean,
probably stay at jobs that they don't like for longer than that.
100%.
To wall off part of your living room and call it your bedroom. I mean, I've done a lot of interesting things living around the world and such, and those things build character too.
Yeah, they do.
It makes you evaluate things that you thought were like a must. There's actually a really great quote from the 4 Hour Work Week. And he says, if you can sleep on a couch, then you can do anything. Because once you get over the fear that you're going to lose everything, if you can just call somebody and say, hey, can I sleep on your couch? Then you're no longer homeless. So basically take some risks, see what happens, and live life to the fullest.
Love that.
Yeah. All right. So this is great, Craig. So could you tell folks where they can get the house hacking book and then also where are the best ways to connect with you?
Yeah, you can get the house hacking book. You can get it on Bigger Pockets, on biggerpockets.com/house hack if you wanted to get some of the extras like the extra leases and the calculators and all that. It is a little bit more expensive there. If you want just the book and none of the frills, you can get it on Amazon for a little bit cheaper. If you want to, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at the FI guy and I run the FI team, which is, like we said, that team of investor friendly real estate agents. So if you're interested in a house hack and you don't quite know what you're doing, we'd love to help you out. So yeah, let us know.
Yeah, and a lot of people may not know either that when you are the buyer, that buyer's agent fee is usually paid by the seller. It may not be a cost to you at all to have a buyer's agent working for you and somebody specifically who understands what the heck you might be looking for in house hack and how to analyze. I think you guys bring a lot of value to folks who are just getting into this or probably pros as well.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, you don't pay us $1, the seller pays us, and that's it. So yeah, we're happy to help anybody out. And our whole value is that we hope that you just pick us to work with, and we hope that we can be valuable to you, and we have hopefully a long-term relationship going year after year.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks for hopping on here. And yeah, the whole point of the channel is to give you ideas of how you can jump in, get off the sidelines. And if you want to take that house hack and make it net zero energy, see about going solar, reducing your carbon footprint, there's all different things that you can do And I'd love to help you figure those things out as well. And with that, thanks so much, Craig, and everybody. I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks, Joan. See you soon.
All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Craig. I hope that you will consider picking up his book, House Hacking, and reach out to Craig if there's anything that he might be able to help you with for you to achieve financial independence for yourself. And if you liked this video, then give it a thumbs up, subscribe, so you won't miss any more videos coming forward. And if there's anything that I can do to help you or someone you know go solar, or if you want someone to partner with on an eco-focused real estate investment, then please reach out. And with that, have a great day, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode of Climate Action Homes.